All right, so today we're going to talk about the internet, the World Wide Web. We'll talk a little bit about keeping yourself safe online. Equifax recently had security breach where like 130 million people, their identity was compromised. So what steps can you take to make sure that your stuff don't get jacked? Yo, you hear me? You feel me? Sorry, just trying to keep it interesting. And then how can you protect your privacy when you're browsing online? Like what steps could you do to further protect your privacy? And then just even things like how do you leverage the online environment for your own benefit, gain, and profit? So the internet's pretty amazing. So why don't you turn your monitor sideways and lend me your ears for 20, 30, 40 minutes, because I feel like what you're going to learn today is worth your time. Sometimes I don't ask you to turn your monitor sideways because I'm kind of like, I don't care as much about that topic. I don't think it's quite as bang for your buck. So if you get it or don't get it, it's not a life changer. What I'm going to share today, life changer. Life changer. So we're just waiting for everybody to finish working with their computers. A few people are still working with their computers. Yeah. Cool. So how do you protect yourself, your credit, how do you protect yourself from being, what do they call it? Not hijacked, but what do they call it? What is it? Yeah, ID fraud, identity theft, thank you. Right? How do you protect yourself from getting your identity stolen? What's that even mean? Somebody steals your identity. Who could say what that means? What's it mean, Mike?
Somebody pretends to be you online.
Yeah, somebody pretends to be you online or on a credit card application or a car loan application or, whatever other application. Anybody ever had their identity stolen? What happened, Josh?
I mean, it wasn't like really. It was like this one guy made a Facebook and pretended to be me when I was like a sophomore and started talking to girls and like doing some weird stuff. And they started texting me, asking if it was actually me. And I was like,
That's weird. Yeah. So maybe we'll eventually get around to watching that movie we saw the trailer for, which was Disconnected trailer, right? Because that's a great movie that sort of captures Disconnect. That's what we're looking for. That's a great movie that sort of captures cyberbullying for high school kids. That's one of the themes that's in there. Anybody else had their identity stolen or hijacked?
Someone used my card.
They used your credit card?
Yeah, my debit card.
Yeah. How'd they do that?
So I was eating at a spot, right? And I guess I dropped my wallet over there or something. I checked the next morning. I was like, hold on. This don't look right. I did not spend I just see my money went down, so I checked in my Wells Fargo app thingy. It showed like purchases. It was a purchase at like Metro PCS and one of the it's a Mexican grocery store. I forgot what it's called. It's another one. I know about it right there. It's another one. But yeah.
Yeah, so one time, well, how do you then stop, right, so this is the first thing you need to know about credit cards. You're already protected with your credit card, not your debit card, your credit card. So your credit cards are protected by, I can't remember the name of it, but it's $50, up to $50 you have liability. And then after that, the credit card company has to, assume responsibility for any fraud. And so it's the Fair Credit Act, credit card protection, $50. So let me just see if that comes up. Fair Credit Billing Act. So let's search for that, Fair Credit Billing Act. Search Google Fair Credit Billing Act and Wikipedia. And nope, that's not Wikipedia. Here we go, Wikipedia. And $50 And the Fair Credit Billing Act gives the consumer the right to sue or assert defenses against a credit company in a dispute about the quality of goods or services to the dollar extent of the amount of the charge involved. The dollar amount of the charge must exceed $50, and the purchase must have been made. Liability of holder of credit card, which limits cardholder liability for unauthorized use of credit card to $50. Right? So you never need to pay for credit card insurance. If anybody ever tries to sell you that, say, "Oh, I thought the Fair Credit Billing Act already covered that." Really? and then the next thing is you just need to watch how's your money being spent. Because if I give my credit card to a waiter, I'll charge your card, I'll be right back. They can walk to the back of the wait station, take a picture of the front and back of the card. They have everything they need to know other than my zip code. But then they could come back and say, "It's asking for your zip code. What's your zip code?" 937. I almost said it. Right? And that's the next thing is you need to protect your private information. You need to protect your private information. So there's security questions. Last four of Social Security number, your whole Social Security number, your driver's license, your date of birth, your mother's maiden name, your zip code. Don't give that to anybody. Like, don't say that out loud. Don't record that. You go into the doctor's office, they want your Social Security number. Leave it blank. And then they say, "Well, we need your Social Security number." Why? And if they have a reason, okay, I'll give it to you. So anyhow, that's a little bit about protecting your identity. Your credit cards, use credit cards because they're protected. Monitor your transactions, which means you got to be downloading them or looking at them online. And what was the third thing I just said? Use credit cards, monitor your transactions, and you're limited to $50 in liability. And don't give out personal information, right? Protect your personal information. The next thing you could do is Equifax lost all of that data, 130 million people, like Social Security numbers, all your personal data, it's been hacked. So you could do like TransUnion, credit freeze, Experian, credit freeze, and also Equifax, credit freeze. So you could go to each of the three credit bureaus. There's three credit bureaus. A credit bureau monitors and tracks you as a consumer and develops a credit score for you. And when people want to do financing, they have to submit an application, and then they pull your credit to look at what kind of borrower you'll be. So they go to one of the three credit bureaus or more, one or more, pull your credit, and then look at that, and then they approve or deny the application. So anytime credit's issued, the lender is going to pull your credit and look at that. And they'll pull it from one of these three credit bureaus. So how many credit bureaus are there in America? 3, right? TransUnion, Experian, Equifax. Equifax lost all that data. Lamely, if you go to Equifax and you say, "I want to put an alert on my credit," you have now opted out of any consumer class action lawsuits which might arise because of their security breach. So don't put an alert on your credit, but you can freeze your credit. This will cost you $10. Okay, except Equifax is now doing it for free because they messed up and lost all that data. So you go in here and you just enter your information, and even though they already have your Social Security number, you got to put it in again. I felt a little bit like an idiot giving them my Social Security number, seeing as how they can't be trusted with data, but they already have it, so whatever. And whenever you enter personal information, you want to make sure it's HTTPS. This is the protocol. We talked about networks last week, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And the S means that it's secure. Okay, so you want to make sure it's HTTPS. Enter this and then freeze your credit. Freezing your credit means that you're going to get a secret ID. A secret ID. It's going to be like a 5 to 10 or 10 to 20 character PIN, right? You can't remember it. You got to store it somewhere. And then to pull credit on your name, you have to contact the credit union, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, and say, please unfreeze my credit. Here is my unique PIN. And only when your credit's unfrozen can a loan be issued against your name. If it's frozen, you can't get a loan in your name. And so that prevents anybody from getting credit cards, taking out car loans. Like they'll be like, his credit's frozen, move on to the next person. Or her credit's frozen. So that's like, and you might think, well, identity theft doesn't really happen to that many people. Why worry about it? Identity theft, FTC, Federal Trade Commission, Experian, consumerftc.gov. Okay, FTC, Federal Trade Commission, government website, identity theft, recover, data breach, protecting your identity, resources. I want like about identity theft. So identitytheft.gov, visit identitytheft.gov. Let's look here. And recovery, tell us what happened, get started. Give me some statistics. Get started, identitytheft.gov, en español, recovery. Get started now. Sample letters, create a personal recovery plan, browse recovery steps. FTC.gov, ID theft, we're going back to the same page. So no statistics. Identity theft. So I'm just going to search for that and then search for images and see if there's like anything here that is, sometimes they have these like big infographics which are really cool. Let's look at that one. No. We'll try statistics, see what comes up. Facts and statistics, identity theft. Identity theft complaints, 17%, 13%. I guess that's just the complaints out of the total. I don't know how many people, what percentage of people have identity theft. Complaints per 100,000 population, California. So 141 out of 100,000. Or move the decimal place 2 times, it's 1.4 out of 1,000. Is that right? 1.4 out of 1,000? 141 divided by 10,000. 141 divided by 10. 100. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 would be 1.4 divided by 10,000. Yeah, so 1.41 out of 1,000. So that's not huge, but if it happens, it's a total pain. But if you think about it, 1,000 people, that's like 23 people at Fresno City College. So it's not fun if it happens. So freeze your credit. That's the first thing to know. What do you think about that? It's kind of long-winded. It took me a long time to say something simple. I just want to stress the importance of how good that is. You know, for yourself and your family, your parents. So nobody takes your identity and gets a whole bunch of loans and then you have a hard time. You have to spend all that time and money trying to get it figured out and sorted out. The next thing which is good to know about, we've already talked about, is virtual private networks, VPNs. And Proton VPN is the one I recommend. I just want to reiterate that for being online and protecting your identity. And so Proton VPN, $4 or $5 a month. Then all of your communication goes directly to one company in an encrypted fashion from your computer to that company. They decrypt whatever you're doing, make those requests from some anonymous location, get the information, encrypt it back, and then send it to you. I have a VPN running right now, so nobody but the company I'm connected to knows what I'm looking at or what I'm doing. That's kind of nice, right? So running a VPN is also really good. And then if you're going to do something that you don't want to be stored in your browser history, not only should you run a VPN, but you should also go incognito. So there's tools up there, and you go incognito, And then that keeps you, like, you know, from knowing, keeps your browser from remembering what you look at. Now the question here is does Google know what I'm looking at? If I'm logged in, right? And like Google, I've allowed Google to kind of keep track of what I'm looking at, then that's connected to Google, and Google can still see what I'm saying, I'm searching for. Just kind of thinking through, like, who knows what about me? And then just keeping it private as much as possible. So what would be the only way you could really sort of make something private? Buy a computer at a yard sale for cash and only use it without any personal identifying information on your laptop ever. Only use it at public places with a VPN. And then nobody would know who that's coming from. Or it'd be hard to figure out. I don't know, just anecdotes. So we're going to talk about the internet, but with what has happened with Equifax, and since it's the conversation's the internet, and since I really believe it's important to freeze your credit to protect your identity, I thought that we'd cover that first, even though that's a later chapter, just a little bit to protect your privacy. When was the internet created? Who knows? Sure, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so originally it wasn't called the internet, it was called ARPANET. And I don't even have that in here. ARPANET, there we go, ARPANET. And so ARPANET wiki. Let's see if it's DARPANET or ARPANET. Yeah, ARPANET. But DARPA is the organization that created it. Who knows about DARPA? Anybody? Sounds like you do. DARPA is Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. So this is like when you watch the James Bond movie and he goes and sees Q, who's the guy who like has all those inventions, and gives him the car with machine guns and the watch that's a bomb and a camera or whatever. All of our watches are cameras pretty much these days, or you can get that, no big deal. But DARPA is like the agency that is the American equivalent of that in the James Bond movies. They create all the cool, cutting edge, high tech. It's research, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. And so back in, and so here it looks like a drone right there, right? And this guy's flying a drone. Got a little remote control. And here they're looking for technologies to shoot out drones. Pew, pew, pew. That's totally interesting. Right? Like, hey, there's a drone following us. Not anymore. But, so they created the internet, and it was originally called the ARPANET, and it started out at UCLA. And if you look for ARPANET map, right, you can look at the maps of the way it looked when it started, like there's back in the day. This was the original internet. UCLA, University of California, Santa Barbara, Stanford Research, and Utah. That was the internet. And it's in the 1960s. It was ARPANET. And the first message on the internet was after letters L and O are sent, the system crashed, making the first message ever sent on the internet LO. What?
Failed lol.
Yeah, failed lol, right? But it's going to be log in. And that was the first message ever sent on the internet, low. So that was born about the same time that I was born. 1969. So the internet's about as old as me. And when I grew up, people didn't have access to the internet. You know this, right? But it's like kind of interesting just to reflect upon like how much things have changed. Like that entire thing that we're at a turning point in the history of humanity, that we all now carry around in our pockets, like, you know, all the encyclopedias, the entire Library of Congress, you know, like, wow, so much information. And it's kind of interesting to think about, with that access to information, what are the vast majority of people spend their time learning about and watching? I don't know what like the popular videos have been so far or recently, but like Gangnam Style, right? Like 2.7 billion views or something, which is a great video. And then you watch something about, you know, living with more wisdom and compassion. It's like, oh, 23,000 views. You know? So the internet was originally called the ARPANET. And why was it created? Anybody know?
No.
Why did they create it? They created it because of this. And so atomic bombs, if there was, you know, nuclear war, they needed to still have some form of communication. And so previous to the internet, we had switched communication networks. And switched communication networks look like this. Okay, so I'd call somebody and a physical connection would get made. And we're talking over this one cable. And if that cable gets cut, our communication's done. And so that was switched communication, like old movies here. And the internet allowed packet switching. And so we went from a circuit network, a circuit kind of network like that, where circuits had to be made, right? There's from one point to another in that circuit, to packet switching. And packet switching was the information to be sent to somebody would get broken up into packets. You get broken up into packets. And then it would get addressed to some destination. And then it would get thrown onto the network. And routers would help find the route to get that packet to its destination. So if one of the channels of communication, I don't know where this is, Las Vegas, if Las Vegas got blown up, the packets would still find their destination by taking a different route. The router would be like, oh, Vegas is dead, let's go this way. And the packets would find their way. So that would allow communication to occur in the event of a nuclear war. And we started losing some of our, you know, landlines. Whereas the circuit network, right, circuit switching, wouldn't allow that. Packet switching does. And so that's still how internet messages get broken up and sent over the internet, from emails to videos to images to voice, video conference. So when was the World Wide Web invented, and what's the difference? So in the 80s, academics started using the internet. And then in the early 90s at CERN, which is the Center for European Research Nuclear, and they have the Large Hadron Collider, which is this, where they get particles up to incredibly fast speeds and then smash them together, and then they look at what kind of other particles that creates. And in the early 90s, the people who run CERN, one of the guys there, Tim Berners-Lee, in the early 90s had this idea. Because people were sharing information on the internet, but it was all arriving just as a big page of text. And he said, hey, we could create a little markup language here. And we could have H1 represent headings, and we could have P represent paragraphs. And then when we receive that text, we could have a browser, parse that text and render it, display it in a formatted way. And so he created a browser and created this markup language to mark up text and format it. And now when the text message got sent, it also had some markup tags on the text. And then when it was received, you'd use a browser to look at that, and it'd take those markup tags and it'd display it as text. So let me show you. All right, so here's like early internet days. Early computers. Tim Berners-Lee when he's young. He invented the World Wide Web, and his net worth, $50 million. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little bit, don't you think?
Huh?
It's a little bit, don't you think?
That'll buy a nice car. And so originally, like if you had a whole bunch of, well, it put that in there. Right? Originally, you just have text like this on your page. That's what came over the internet. But then they said, oh, let's do this. Like here's a heading. Here's a paragraph. And that will now be formatted. So when I look at that, it'll look like this. So it's formatted instead of just text coming over. My browser looks at those markup tags. That's what HTML stands for, Hypertext Markup Language. Right? I'm marking up that text, and then my browser receives that text. I could right-click and I could say View Page Source. And my browser receives that text. And then what my browser displays is this. So my browser says, oh, okay, this is a heading 1. We'll make it look like that. Oh, here's a paragraph. So now people could send formatted text to each other. And that was in '93. And that's when the World Wide Web started. So the internet was all the hardware, the computers, the routers, the wires, the cables, the communication protocols. How do we send data back and forth in packets? Transmission control protocol, internet protocol, breaking things up into packets. And then the World Wide Web was built to run on top of the internet as a service. And the World Wide Web had the Hypertext Transfer Protocol and Hypertext Markup Language. How many people find that interesting? That's a little bit interesting. How many people just like don't care? How many people aren't raising your hands? Don't raise your hands. So that's just a little bit of a history of the internet and the World Wide Web. We've looked at a couple big chunks. One, protecting yourself on the internet, freezing your credit, using a VPN, browsing incognito. Two, and not giving out, highly sensitive personal data, address, zip code, social security number, mother's maiden name, not giving any of that out. And then two, we've learned about the history of the internet. It came from ARPANET, which is DARPA. And then we also learned about the history of the World Wide Web. And we learned a little bit about the technology behind that, markup languages and browsers rendering the code. It's good stuff, right? Do I seem tired?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it a little bit. So we're going to power through a couple of concepts here. The digital divide is those who have and those who do not when it comes to technology. It's like the rest of the world, but we call it the digital divide with tech. So if you go to which place in Fresno is likely to have more computers in the homes? North Fresno or south southwest? South southwest, right? Have more computers in the home than north? Which one has more? North Fresno or South Fresno? Why North Fresno? Yeah, they're richer, right? So rich people are likely to have more computers. Kids are more likely to grow up with computers and be more computer savvy and be able to operate in the computer world and then make more money, right? And then have computers in the homes for their kids so they become computer savvy and get out there in the world and make more money. And then the poor people grow up without computers and then they don't know how to use computers, so they get out there in the world and they don't make as much money, and then they have kids and they can't have computers at home because they don't make as much money, and you know, right? So structural kind of issue. But the digital divide is the have and have-nots of technology. Net neutrality is kind of getting destroyed under pro-business Trump. And net neutrality is the idea that the net is a neutral place and that everybody should have equal access to it. And it's like Amazon and myself, you know, should be able to deliver content at the exact same speeds across this network, the internet. But the people who own the cables want to charge a premium for premium speed and then make money off of it. So Comcast might say, okay, Amazon, you want to get your content to people quickly, you need to pay us this much per month. Or anybody needs to pay us this much per month to provide fast content to people. Otherwise, you're going to be providing slow content to people. And then that would just further, you know, screw the common person, because it'd be hard for a common person to then compete if that's just one more cost you got to pay to, you know, deliver a fast digital service. And so that's net neutrality, and it's starting to get bashed apart under Trump. You could go to savetheinternet.com and learn about it. Stop Trump's administration attack on net neutrality. So you could sign the petition. The stakes are high. FCC chairman has vowed to take a weed whacker to net neutrality rules. He's also moving fast to undermine key consumer protections. Meanwhile, Republicans in Congress have a better chance than ever before passing industry-backed laws that harm the open internet. So, ISPs are internet service providers. They're the ones who sell you access to the internet. URLs stands for Uniform Resource Locator. URL. And a URL is, you know, that thing right there, right? This is HTTP. Here's the domain, the top level domain, and then some information. This no longer exists, so don't go there, right? But the domain, and then this is the top level domain, the .com, and then some information. And so now routes are RESTful, which means that, you know, the URL has some sort of meaning, and they don't necessarily correspond to folder structure on the server, which is how they used to be, but that's not the way it is anymore. So some of the top level domains that are out there are like .com, .edu, .gov, .mil, military, .gov.uk. You have to be an educational institution to get edu. Right, .net is for networks, and there's a lot more of them right now. So an IP address is an internet protocol address. Every device connected to the internet has an IP address, but it's hard for us to remember IP addresses. So if I told you, yeah, go to my website is 28.16.32.4, you'd be like, what? But if I told you my website's greatercommons.com, you'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Right? And so there are domain name servers that resolve domain names to IP addresses. And let me, I'm not at, let me see if, find IP address of website Mac. Method 2, open the network utility. I'm just going to do ping. Here we go. So ping greatercommons.com. And so here's the IP address of Greater Commons, 216.239.32.21. I could highlight that. I could highlight that and go to 216.239.32.21. And nothing. What happened, man? Doot, 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 doot. 216.239.32.21. 216.239.32. Ping McLeods.com. Ping. I guess McLeods.com isn't alive anymore. Nothing. Well, HTTP. Does that do anything? No. All right, I don't know why that's not working, because the internet's got more confusing, become more complicated now. All right, so TCPIP is the protocol of the TCP level, and then above that we have HTTP running on top of it. And we learned about packet switching versus circuit switching, right? Circuit switching, packet switching. And there's some information about searching well, and I should tell you about CC versus BCC. So how do you search well? Anybody have any search recommendations for searching well? Nobody?
What happened? You asked something.
How do you search well on the internet?
Wow.
Well.
You go into your browser and then you search in well in Google search.
There you go. How do you search well? You search well. But like, you know, you got to have precise search terms. So if I wanted to find, earlier I searched for FTC, and then I was like identity theft, right? So I just kind of narrowed it down to the key concepts. And it's like I kind of remember it as FTC, I think. So bam, that's what I put in. You know, or if I wanted to find a poem or a quote, you know, and I remember one line from the quote, you know, I could enter that. Like, what else could we do to search better? Anybody have any techniques or tips?
Quotation marks around specific keywords, and that'll narrow it down to that.
Hot dog gives me that. I don't know what the difference between
There's
hot dog
also a
would be.
smart search in your browser, especially for Google Chrome. You go right there, the little, you see the 9 dots, and then, yeah.
9 dots right here.
And then I forget where, but you keep going down, and it's like a smart search, where it can narrow it down even more.
So we've got these that could help us anytime, all results, verbatim, maybe might change it. There's settings, search settings, safe search, turn on safe search. Yeah, you got some?
Can't you put like whatever you're searching for, and then like put like plus, or like if you're trying to take something away, you put like a minus?
Yeah, so here's advanced search under tools, advanced search. So I could go there. And then in here, all these words, this exact word or phrase, any of these words, none of these words, numbers ranging from language, region, last update, site of domain, just search for hot dogs at, you know, ftc.gov or at ucla.edu, right? And I want this exact phrase, right? Hot dog at ucla.edu, advanced search. Beef hot dog, Los Angeles, UCLA dining services. Soul hot dog, Los Angeles, UCLA dining services. All right? Oh, okay, cool. Like, that's nice. And, you know, anywhere in the page, Maybe I just want in the title of the page. All right, like really, let's get specific. Any format, not filtered by license. So that's advanced search. That's kind of cool. How many people knew about advanced search? Cool. What else could we do to search better?
You can go to a specific website that will show you that. Like if you're searching for iPhones, you should go to Apple and not Microsoft because you won't find Apple products on Microsoft.
One trick is also here, like maybe this was like a whole page. That's totally a wacky page. I love it. That's so nuts. Oh man, I love that. It's so weird. Hot dog statistics. All right, so maybe, anyhow, the dots. Somebody said the dots, and I could go over and I could choose more. And there's like, wow, so much stuff here, even more. And like, look at all the stuff from Google that I could do. And all these things down here, right? And so I was searching for hot dog, but they also have, well, hell, I can't find it on this page. So I'm going to do Command F and search for Scholar. And there's one result with Scholar. I don't know where it is. Where is it? Anybody see Scholar? Oh, right there. Okay. So I could go to Scholar maybe. But I could also look through all these other things and see what they do. And at Scholar, right, and I could say, okay, search Scholar. And articles, case law, and I could say hot dog, search. And then here, like slightly different choices, my library, my profile, I could save things in my library, sort by relevance date, include patents, include citations, create alert, but hot dog headache, individual susceptibility to nitrate. So now I'm looking at scholarly articles on hot dog. And so then I come and like, oh, cool, I want to read this article. And I'm like, I got to buy it. All right, forget it. And I wonder if there's some way to say I just want the free ones. So I don't know if there's advanced search here to, what does this do? Case law profiles, library alerts, metrics, advanced search. And all these words, this exact phrase, and with at least one of these words, and without words, where the words occur anywhere in the title, articles by, articles dated. I want like free articles. So let's go to this one here. So I could then go, oh, okay, where does it talk about hot dog? And I could click. Well, it's not doing the Command F. Oh, right here. So here I search hot dog, right? Hot dog. And I hit go. And I guess it's just giving me my locations right there. Hot dog, hot dog, hot dog, hot dog. So now I'm quickly kind of going through research to find whatever research I need for my paper. You guys are bored. Isn't that, though, useful? Like if you're having to do research? Is that useful?
Yeah.
I think so. And even like, search smarter, Fresno city, I haven't been here forever. So we'll see what it's like.
Okay, well, the website's going to go out in a couple days. Yeah, one day.
Library. All right, so online databases. Where is the databases? Anybody know? Where's library? Our website is so bad.
It's right there. It says it right there on the screen. Go back.
I'm just going to let Google find it for me. So search databases. Right? So I could come here. And EBSCO host. That's awesome. And then I have to log in. But once I was logged in, I could find scholarly articles in a way where they're more accessible. So also searching, right? Like, do you know this microphone? Allow. Pet Hotel, Los Angeles.
All right, pet hotel around West Los Angeles.
That's really loud. But that's kind of cool, right?
It's like.
And then we could search for images. And do you know this? Like, let's say I have an image, and I'm just going to, I don't know, we're in images, right? And so now I could click this little search by image and upload an image and then go choose a file, or I could just drag and drop it there. And let me see, I have Todd McLeod, pictures, and I should have a me. And there I am, and I'm going to search and uploading the file.
Cool.
And so visually similar images.
You alright? You don't look very proud.
I'm just wondering why it grouped me with Bill Kennedy.
Who's that?
He's a friend.
And then there's like a convicted guy right there.
Which one? This guy?
Now the one in the yellow jumpsuit. One to the right.
Okay.
Right.
Jailbase.com.
You hit the jackpot. Mm-hmm.
But then when I search in here, I could also, so let's search for something else. I don't know. Corona.
Beer? Oh, boy.
And then, you know, you've got these: sun, logo, bottle, beach, science. I could say beach. And then I could say, okay, and I want tools, and I could reuse this image. And then I want size, and I want it larger than 1600 by 1200. And it's like, all right, that's the image I'm going to use. That's pretty appealing. I don't know how that works, but that's appealing. So that's using, you know, maps, searching, shopping. You know, shopping? How many people already use shopping?
Google?
Yeah. Google Shopping, anybody already use it? So it's like, let's say you have to buy, I don't know what. I'm buying Corona, right? Corona towel. I don't know how to spell towel, apparently. Right, but here, from 3 stores. Okay, show me. I don't want to see that. Compare prices from 2 stores. 1902 from each of them. Walmart or Jet.com. Okay. I kind of like that towel. I'd like it more without the Corona, just the lines. But that's like searching, getting price comparisons on things you're going to buy. It's interesting, right? Like so many different ways to search and take information and do something with it. Do you know that you could go to this thing here, go to more, and go to even more, and then search for the Google Express, CD Expeditions Express, and then at Google Express you could say I want to buy things from Costco, and then you could buy things from Costco and Google delivers it from Costco. Like, wow, there's so much out there. You know, and here's what's on sale right now. Google Express.
Do you shop on Google Shopping?
No. Occasionally. But I'd rather just go to Costco. That's like date night. It is, man. Costco's the best date ever. Like, you're out there, you're single, you meet somebody, you kind of like them, you're like, hey, let's go out Friday night. Sure, okay, I'll pick you up at 6, see ya. And you go pick them up, and you're like, we're going to Costco. You know what? That's the best first date ever. You know why? You're gonna learn. No, well, free samples, yeah, but you're gonna learn a lot about that person. Right? Just get a cart and walk around and say, I just got to buy a couple things, and we'll go to the movies. Right? And just see what they're attracted to. And if they are like all Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms and you're all like whole wheat bread, you guys are done. You know? It's like you don't want to marry Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms if you're all wheat bread. Right? Like, no, that's already, our values are different. And if they're all like, ooh, look at these rings, you're like, we are done. This date's over.
Yeah.
You know? But if they're in there and they're like, this is a really good value, that's on sale, you know, and you're like, you know, it's the same thing you'd buy, you're like, okay, cool, we're similar people. I'm going to give you a little life advice right now. Don't go for like the best looking person. Like the hottest person, that's a fool's trap. Number one thing you want to look for, and it doesn't mean they can't be good looking. If they happen to be good looking, that's fine. Number one thing you want to look for is competence and kindness. Because you are starting a business called family household with somebody, right? And you got to like kick ass on both fronts. And if like one person is like not competent, it's just going to wreck it. Like you need somebody who could get stuff done, right? Like, can you get this project done? Like first date, Costco. And on your first date, buy something that requires assembly. Second date, assemble it. You see how you work together. That's like a quick 2-date recipe for figuring out real fast whether or not you work well together, and you'll be a good team. So you want competence, you want kindness, and then you, if they're attractive, that's just like bonus round.
Where did you go for your first date with your wife right now?
My first date with my current wife.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it sounds funny, my current wife, right? Because I was married once before. She was like, my current wife, and she kind of hit me in the arm when I said that at once. I was like, I am intimacy adverse. I was burned in love, once burned, twice shy. That's what they say. I told you the story of my first wife. First date with my first wife was for Indian food, I think. So I didn't live, you know, I've learned some things since then. It'd be Costco if I could do it again. But it all worked out well. Might have been Costco with her anyhow. Probably was just a walk around the block. I think it was a walk around the block, the first one. She lived near me. I'd walk my dogs. I was like, hey, I'm going to walk my dogs. You want to come? It's an easy one.
What about your current wife?
That is my current wife.
Wait, no, you said your first wife.
Oh, my first wife? I don't know. That was like dysfunction playing itself out. I hadn't lived and learned enough yet.
Did you bury your pal?
Oh, Henry, he's still around. He's doing okay.
Didn't you say he was going to bite the bucket
I
last
thought
week?
so, man.
And you were like,
thought
he's
so.
going to die either today or the next
Yeah,
day.
that's what I thought. But he's kind of
So
doing
Henry
all
just
right.
bounced back and you were like, oh, that's great.
Yeah. Well, when he saw the gun, he got up.
Oh, shit.
I'm just kidding.
Fuck.
Yeah, I thought he was gone last week.
So, like, what happened?
Oh no, he's
He just
doing all
bounced
right.
back?
Yeah, he's doing all right. You know, we all go through low phases. I mean, he's not bounced back. He's still like has a hard time getting up. But he's getting up. He's going to the bathroom. He could eat a little bit. He like lays over the edge of the bowl and puts his head in the bowl and eats. And then
You were very hopeful last week.
I wasn't hopeful
You
at
were
all.
very, very hopeful.
Hopeful? You're being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was done last week. So there's all kinds of things you could do, right, for searching. Just the power. I've got the power. How many people have no idea that's actually a song? How many people have never heard the I've Got the Power song? Raise your hand.
Fully no, but
You've never heard the I've Got the Power song? Oh my gosh. Wow. Bury me. So there's an entire course you could take, Power Searching with Google. And here's the URL. Oh, it's Power Searching with Google. I took this course. Search education online. Right? Power searching and advanced power searching. Like you could just watch these videos at home over 2 Friday nights. This would be like the 3rd and 4th day. Yeah, come on over. We're going to watch Power Searching with Google. And if she's like, what? Or he's like, what? No, man, this is cool. It's going to help us, like, search better and get things done. If they're like, oh, cool, that's interesting, then all right. But that'd be like 3 or 4, I think. Yeah, because you're going to be in your house watching a movie together.
I like how you're labeling them in numbers, but I'm pretty sure every date that you just recommended would be the last.
Really?
Yeah.
Then I'd be down with that person. You need wine and dining and being special, go be a princess with somebody else. We're working class here. So these are cool courses, power searching, advanced power searching, and you can learn like, wow, how I could use, because you're going to be needing to find stuff in life. So this is like a good time spent going through these courses and learning the little tricks and techniques. All right. Oh, CC, Oh, I'm so tired of talking.
Carbon copy.
And blind carbon copy. So if I have an email and I'm going to send an email to my boss, but I want somebody else to know about it, the email's for my boss. I CC the other person. They see it. They know the email's not for them. I'm just kind of giving them the update. By the way, I emailed the boss about this issue. They see that. They know they're just copied on it, and my boss knows it's for him because it's to him. Right? If I BCC it, right, I send an email to my boss, and then I BCC Raul, and that means like, Raul, check this out, man. I can't believe what's going on. And then my boss getting an email. My boss doesn't know that Raul received a copy of it, but Raul knows that it was to my boss and that he got a blind carbon copy, and he should not hit reply to it. Otherwise, then people would know that. Or if you hit reply, you got to make sure it's not also hitting the boss back.
Just reply to the user and not reply to all.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was trying to say. So that's BCC and CC. Netiquette is etiquette on the net, the internet. So if you ever hear that phrase, like don't use all caps. That's considered shouting online. And you should always like compose your emails without the people's address in the email. Write your email, and then when you're done writing it, you might let it sit for a day if it's a sensitive email. Just let it sit for a day. You could piss them off tomorrow. You don't have to piss them off today. You could hit them again tomorrow, right? Like, don't hit them today when you're mad. If it's an email that's got you mad, like, you could hit them tomorrow with that email, your fast response. Let it sit a day, sit 2 days, and go back and reread it and be like, okay, do I really want to send this? And then if you decide, okay, I'm going to send it, at that point, you put the person's email address in. Because you don't want to like type a reply and be like, blah, 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 and then accidentally hit send. You're like, oh, dang. How many people have done that? Only me? 2 people, right? You're like, I didn't mean to send that just yet, so let me finish the rest of that email. Or you did send it, and then you're like later, you're like, I shouldn't have sent that email. So you just always want to put that pause in. Like that'll actually be a really cool feature. Like to send all my emails in 24 hours. So you just hit send on them, but then you'd have that 24 hours where you could go see where they're queued, and then, okay, I'm going to change that one. And if you really need to send it now, it would be like a 2-step process or something. I don't know. Netiquette. What'd you learn? Anything good? What stuck with you today?
All of it.
All of it was good? All of it stuck with you? What was like a highlight?
Your dog.
My dog lived awesome. Thanks. Costco, yeah. You got to go to Costco for the dates. Because that will become your family date once you guys are in the trenches with each other. It'll be like, oh, good, we get to go to Costco together. Remember our first date? It'll become a romantic place. It's like when we go to Costco. It's our date. Literally, that's like date for my wife and I. All right, so that's enough.